I'm not a non-partisan guy. I'm extremely partisan. If there's any news people here tonight, I am a Democrat and I am an unrepentant Democrat. Folks, we did not seek any corporate sponsors for this event tonight. Every penny of money that came in was by the people sitting in this room and a lot of other folks that aren't here. 229 people stood up to say, maybe we can make a difference. Democratic majority, we thank you and we appreciate you being here, guys. There's so many seniors in this state that can't have the medical care they need because we have a governor down there that won't stand up to the people. It shouldn't be about politics. It should be about caring about your neighbor. Just recently, I was called a baby killer by a lady in the town of Heflin. And I'm going to tell you folks, that hurt me personally. And I wanted to hurt her. There's just so much untruths. Mr. Obama's a black man, and he's the president. I don't have to agree with him. As a matter of fact, I don't agree with everything he does or says, but he's still the president. Hell, I don't agree with everything my wife says, but I still love her. The point I'm trying to make is, we can disagree without being disrespectful. We have a House of Representatives that's voted 40 times to defund a bill that's already the law of the land, stamped and accepted as law by the highest court in the land. You know how much money they spent on this? It's estimated they spent $1.2 billion since the first time. That includes, staff, paper, tissue paper, whatever's involved, I'm not sure. But they just don't get it because they don't want to get it. They don't care about the lady that needs medical care when she's 80 years old and she has nobody to help her. They don't care about the small child that's belly's hungry and he can't study Monday because he didn't have food to eat over the weekend. If that makes me a bad guy, then so be it, folks. I accept that. I accept it. Now, all I am is just a foot soldier for the Democratic Party. I have members of my own family that gives me more hell than y'all could ever believe. But now they don't eat Thanksgiving dinner with me either. What we have to do is take the message to 67 counties that we're not the bad guys. Don't be ashamed to be a Democrat. Don't be ashamed to stand up and tell people that you voted for a black president. I voted for him twice. And honestly, I wish he could run again. For him. I'm speaking of Judge Mark Kennedy. He's the chairman of the Alabama Democratic Majority. He is a lifelong Democrat. He is the son-in-law of former Governor George Wallace and Lurleen Wallace. He has served the Alabama Supreme Court honorably. And at this point in time, he's just out doing what I call God's work. He's beating the bushes. He's getting very little rest. But what he is doing is he's moving forward. What I do know is Mark Kennedy is our friend. He is the most colorblind individual I have ever met in my life. I only come to know Judge Kennedy about 3 years ago, and I sincerely wish that I could have spent the earlier part of my life knowing such a remarkable individual. He has a fantastic wife in Miss Peggy Wallace Kennedy. I've come to know their boys. One serving in the armed services, the other one's just finished school at not Auburn, but that other school, Roll Tide. And seriously, folks, I could just go on and on for hours at what he's done. But what he's done doesn't mean as much to me personally as what I know that you're going to do, Judge Kennedy. And we're just so glad to have you here tonight. We're glad that you would allow us to honor you and Mrs. Kennedy. And if you would, sir, would you come say a few words?
Well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you being here tonight. It's great to be with Democrats, and I'm honored tonight to stand here as chairman of an organization, a foundation, that is going to help us elect these guys back here and others throughout this state so that we can plan and plot a new way for a future in Alabama. There's one candidate that didn't say a word about the fact that he's also running against one of the most notorious senators we have, and that's Gerald. I learned a long time ago that I don't need a comb-over when I'm going bald. Gerald hadn't gotten that message yet. But the guy that's going to take him to task is also the president of the Liars and Fries and Lies Club, and that's Darrell Turner. He's going to run for the state president. I tell you, one thing you know about Darrell now, he's going to tell it just like it is. Senator Dixie, we need more plain talk down there to help you out with your plain talk. But Darrell is not only going to be one of the more colorful candidates, but he's also going to help our ticket and lead all of us to taking back the supermajority or defeating the supermajority in Montgomery. I'm proud today to tell you that we are going to out-organize, we're going to outwork, and we're going to out-trick the Republicans in this next election. We're going to do what it takes. We're going to do what it takes to defeat 4 senators at the minimum and save 2 of our own senators that are going to be challenged, Tammy Irons and Mark Cagey. While others may actually have opposition, those are the 2 that we feel, because of redistricting, may have the hardest time. If we do that, then we can stop any legislation from passing. And you know sometimes the best offense is a defense. We're going to do the same thing in the House of Representatives. We can do that, the numbers are there, and what we got behind us is a strong wind that doesn't smell good because it's the record of the Republican Party blowing in our faces. We're also going to do it because we understand the power of people-powered politics. I am a Democrat, and it was an honor for me to serve as chairman of the Alabama Democratic Party. But I had a difference of opinion about who holds the real power for change in this state. I was bold enough to think that I had an obligation to include all of you, that your opinion counted, that my value was equal to your value, and that working together we could affect change. You know, for 135 years, when we had all the power, had all the money, had all the influence, had all the access, it was easy to be a Democrat. Because all we had to do is go around in Montgomery and pick up checks, because we controlled access, power, money, and all those things that make politics so interesting. Well, in 2010, we lost that. And we stood bereft on a horizon that looked bleak for the people of this state. There was nowhere to turn except to the people that we should have been talking to for 135 years, and they are people like you and me. And so as chairman of the party, I started doing that, and it was one of the great blessings of my life. And one thing that I think kind of befuddled everybody in Montgomery was that I could say whatever I wanted to, because I was never going to run for office again. I served 2 terms on the state Supreme Court, and am proud of that. I'm a retired state employee, so I'm here because I want to be, not because I have to be, not because I'm paid to be. And I really believe that the way to build a stronger Alabama is us working together. I don't think there'd ever been a chairman quite like that in the history of the Democratic Party most recently. There was nothing I wanted but good government. There was nothing I wanted but giving people an opportunity to spread their wings and soar like eagles, because I understood that if we all had something in the game, we could take our state back. Now that did not sit well with some folks in Montgomery. I respect and admire the people that have carried and shouldered the burden of the Democratic Party for years and years. But Peggy and I determined that perhaps I could be of better service to elect Democrats if we formed not a new party, not someone that's going to run people against someone else in the Democratic Party, but an organization that understood that the future of Alabama is in each of our hearts, that is in each of our dreams and visions. And so what we're doing that's unique is we are out every day, organizing, voting, registering voters. We're working this past month for Sam Jones, mayor of Mobile. Sam Jones is a lifelong Democrat. He is a great mayor. He has been a good mayor for Mobile, and he's being challenged by the country club crowd. And it's going to be a tough race. But to show you what we can do with our volunteers over the past few weeks, our volunteer teams, people like you and me that just want to be involved, have made over 20,000 phone calls into the city of Mobile asking for support of Sam Jones. And we made 3 lists. We made 3 lists. We made one list that said they were for Sam Jones. We put them over here, and we got to call them back Monday to make sure they go vote. We had the other list, those people that say they're supporting the other guy. We tore those up and throw them in the trash can, because we hope they don't go vote. But then we have those that are undecided, and that's going to make the difference. And we're going to talk to those people, and we're going to go down there in Mobile, and we're going to help Sam Jones get 51% of the vote. And in 2014, that's what we're going to do for the Senator Beasleys of the world, these candidates out here. We're going to make sure that they have the best grassroots organization that a Democratic Party has ever given someone else, or a Democratic organization. And guys, the best news about that is you're not going to have to pay for it. We're going to do it because it's the right thing to do. So we're all in this together. And there's not a day that goes by that I am not excited about the future of this state. Look at these guys up here. Do you think 12 months ago when everybody was saying we were sunk, that you'd be at a dinner and you'd have all of these individuals saying, I'm running as a Democrat? Now, the Republicans today are down there fighting each other. They're beginning to eat their own because they can't deal with the power they have. Poor Bill Armstead is just dancing a jig down there because he doesn't understand what he needs to do to try to keep his party from blowing up. Now, we don't want them to blow up, we just want them to lose. Because they don't represent our values. Are we going to have some statewide candidates? I hope so. Are we going to have some people that offer themselves up for other seats, local seats, county commissioners, probate judges, circuit judges? I hope so. And we're going to do what we can, but we must remain focused on stopping this train that is on a collision with our civil rights that is occurring in the Alabama legislature. There's not a woman, there's not a teacher, there's not a state employee, there's not a retiree, there's not a student, there's not anybody over 60 years old that should ever vote for a Republican in Alabama again. We're going to be honest, we're going to be fair, we're going to talk about the issues that matter. And remember this, somebody told me this, but said it as best as I can say it. We simply want to be treated as fairly as out-of-state corporations.